So smartphones are very expensive. Look like every year the prices is going up. But here's something you could do right now to save some money. Switch to Mint Mobile, who I'm partnered with today's video. Listen, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless service for as low as $15 a month. And you know what? You don't have to sacrifice coverage, speed, or data. They're built on the largest 5G network. So why should you pay more when you could pay less to have access to the same network? One of the good things about Mint Mobile is that you can keep your current device in your current number. So use my link down in the description below to get that premium wireless service starting at $15 a month. I want to give a huge thanks to Mint Mobile for partnering with me in this video. Oh yeah, welcome to another episode of the Tech Preacher Podcast, Uncut, baby. That's what I'm talking about. We're in 2024 and we got new technology coming out. We got CES going on right now. And I'm gonna tell you, man, maybe I was wrong. And I'm gonna talk about this, man, in this podcast because technology is evolving. I think 2024, we gonna see a shift in a whole lot of things. Let me explain in this podcast, man. So listen, man, as CES going on, I've been watching a lot of coverage of CES, Samsung, and all these other companies that's pushing forward technology. And what I'm getting out of what's happening in 2024 is three key elements in the smartphone arena. I'm going to talk about smartphones a little bit. And the reason why I want to talk about smartphones is because maybe I'm wrong in a lot of different areas. Let's talk about it. Three key areas. AI, right? As we know, Google have pushed AI to the next level, right? So AI is going to be the forefront of 2024. Also, screen brightness. Man, I want to talk about screen brightness, man, in this podcast, right? And cameras. One of the things that I've been preaching and one of the things that I've been doing, right, is I've been saying this, that smartphone cameras is not at the level to replace DSLR mirrorless cameras. But maybe I'm wrong at this, man, because they're pushing the needle, man. They're pushing the needle to another level when it comes down to this technology. So let's talk about AI. As you guys have been hearing, AI. They want to use AI, artificial intelligence to advance everything from your daily life. Think about this. I get up in the morning and I pick up my Google device and it gives me a layout of, the weather and how long it's going to take me for the drive time from my home to my work. It tells me about traffic reports. I mean, it gives me everything. In the morning when I pick up my phone, it tells me everything, any accidents, any news articles I need to read. I mean, everything. So what it does is it takes my day-to-day tasks, everything that I search online, everything that I do, it AI combines it all into one. For some strange reason, I don't know how Google and all these other companies found out how from your home to your workplace without even putting in that type of information. But they see that you go from point A to point B, constantly, right? So I guess they assume that that's the workplace. So when I wake up in the morning, I get my weather report, I get my news articles, I get everything that's going on in tech. I watch the political stuff. It gives me my drive time from my home to my business. It gives me all kinds of things that's going on, right? In the morning. It's like my morning brief. This is what I get when I pick up my Pixel. Now, other devices do that, but this is why I love the Google Pixel. But so AI is advancing. I mean, we heard that, Samsung S24 series of devices is going to be all about AI, right? AI, just everything. I mean, everything is plastered in the information about AI. We know everything about the device. We know all this stuff about it. So AI is taking over. And so that is going to be a key element of 2024, right? you're going to have a shift from a lot of companies to switching to AI, right? To predict your task, to help you in your photography, to help you find answers to your questions. These are going to be assistants to help you on your day-to-day task. This is what AI is going to do for us on smartphones. Because you have to remember, we carry smartphones every day, all day. I mean, pretty much everybody hang on to a smartphone every day, whether that's going to be a foldable, flip, or whatever kind of phone that you have. And so in 2024, this is what you're seeing. AI everything. And the next thing that companies are doing is screen brightness. Listen, man, I'm going to show you guys something. For everybody that's listened to this podcast, I'm going to kind of give you guys what I'm showing on the screen. Now, these podcasts is recorded. The video version is always uploaded on a Friday on my YouTube channel. If you are subscribed to Spotify and you want to watch the video version of this podcast, you can do that. But you can listen. You just listen to my voice. All right. Let's talk about screen brightness. You know, I've been using devices that have nits. They call it nits, right? Nits of brightness. 800 nits, 500 nits. Most of your home computers will be 400 nits, 500 nits, right? And for the home use, 400 nits and 500 nits and 600 nits is bright enough, right? Especially if you got your computer, you know, pretty much looking at it in the room or something like that. You don't need that peak brightness. But smartphones is different. A lot of people use smartphones outside. So when you're outside the element, you want to see your device. And for me, 800 nits, I thought 800 nits was good. I think 800 nits, and now we went to 1,000 nits. Then they went to 1,100 nits. And then things changed. I mean, they got super bright, right? 2,400 nits, 2,800 nits. I mean, you gotta be kidding me. That's just too bright. But in 2024, companies are pushing it even further. Let me show you this article here and talk to you guys about this. Look at this, man. So OnePlus 12, right? OnePlus been talking about the OnePlus 12 for a while now. And they've been, if you're on Twitter or whatever, social media, you've been seeing a bunch of commercials, a bunch of ads about the OnePlus 12. Well, the OnePlus 12, OnePlus is taking their screen displays to another level. 4,500 nits. 4,500 nits. Now, listen, man, we talk about, I think the Galaxy S23 Ultra is about 2,400 nits or 2,200 nits. The iPhone is about 2,800 nits, between 22 to 2,800 nits. That's the most brightest displays that we have in the United States between Samsung and Apple. OnePlus is taking it to the next level. 4,500 nits, baby. 4,500 nits of peak brightness. God, that's super bright. Like, man, let me tell you, I use devices that have 800 nits. Perfectly fine. I can see outside, no issues. I film, and when I look at my phones on outside element, even in sometimes the direct sunlight, between 800 nits and 1,000 nits is fine. I don't have no problem with that. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. You know, when Samsung came out with a high peak, 1,500 nits or 2,000 nits, you're like, that's too bright. Like, at that point, you feel that that we plateaued at that. It shouldn't go no brighter than that, right? Here go OnePlus saying, you know what? Hold my beer, right? 4,500 nits. And not only that, it's not this OnePlus. The new Oppo Find X7 Ultra, also 4,500 nits. 4,500 nits. Now, listen, man, that's bright. That is bright, man. And listen, I actually like the design of the Oppo Find X7. It looks really good. I've been watching a lot of videos about it. But 4,500 nits, that is freaking bright, man. Like, listen, I understand this peak brightness and you only get maybe about, a minute or so if you need that type of peak brightness. But other than that, even with the Oppo Find NX, it gives you a sustained high brightness of 2600 nits, which is insane. Now listen, man, when I talk about a sustained brightness of 2600 nits, that is insanely bright, right? With a peak brightness of 4500 nits, it's insane. But this is what I've been discovering as I've been watching CES. I've been seeing rumors about upcoming devices and stuff like that. But even when you're looking at the Galaxy S24 Ultra that's coming out, and obviously we know everything about the device. We get it announced in a couple of weeks. But as you know, tech reviewers and leakers and everything release everything. Even with that, Samsung is going 2600 nits. They're not going into that 4000 nits or 4500 nits and stuff like that. So we're not going to see that out of Samsung, right? And listen, I'm not knocking it. I don't think we need 4500 nits on the device. I think 2600 nits is just fine. But what Samsung is doing is 2600 nits. So, I mean, that's what they're going to do. And I think that's going to be fine. But 4500 nits, listen, man, kudos to the OnePlus, man. They are moving the needle. This is one of the things that I've been preaching, right? We don't give companies like OnePlus and these other companies, off-brands, so-called off-brands, a chance, an opportunity, right? As y'all guys know, I've been making videos about other brands and stuff like that, and I've been enjoying other brands. And the OnePlus 12 is a device that is probably going to be on my needle to check out, right? But man, 4500 nits. You got companies like OnePlus for the last year or so have came out of the graveyard and said, "Hey, we still here." And this is what I like, when they came out with the OnePlus Open, even when you go back and look at the OnePlus 11, look at other devices, I absolutely love the OnePlus 7 Pro. I use that device off and on. I love the OnePlus 7. To me, I love the cameras. I love the pop-up cameras. It doesn't have no indentation, no nothing. The screen is just gorgeous. The front-facing camera is great. I like the cameras on the OnePlus 7 Pro. I don't care what nobody say. That it's probably one of my favorite phones. Like, for real, I can rock a OnePlus 7. And that could be a device I can rock for a couple of years. I ain't tripping. I love that phone. Even if it don't get no support, I can rock a OnePlus 7. But the OnePlus 12 is, wow. Listen, look, I got the OnePlus 10. I didn't get the OnePlus 11. So I got the OnePlus 8, I got the OnePlus 9, OnePlus 10. I didn't get the OnePlus 11. But boy, look at this OnePlus 12. And listen, the OnePlus 10, and look, the OnePlus 12 got the same characteristics of the OnePlus 10, OnePlus 11. So it's going to be great, right? What I like about OnePlus, again, they're moving the needle. They are giving you something out the ordinary, right? They pushing the needle, right? Which I really like. The OnePlus Open. Most people's favorite foldable devices. Think about this, right? Samsung have carried the needle of best foldable phones for a very long time. And here we got OnePlus on their first attempt. Now, I understand this is not technically under the umbrella of other companies. This is not their first foldable, but it's their first foldable under OnePlus, the brand. They've got the experience with with the other brands, right? But this is the one that's in the United States, branded for the United States and stuff like that. So the OnePlus Open is a great phone that's for the United States. And since I'm in the United States, I look at it that this is their first foldable device, even though technically it's not. But with all that said, they came in with guns blazing. Most people favorite foldable phone of 2023. Outshining Samsung in a lot of categories, right? From cameras, battery life, overall performance and stuff like that. I think that Samsung has to take notice because, hey, listen, you can't let a company come in 1 year and take some of your fame from you. But Samsung deserved this though, because Samsung been sitting on their laurels for a long time and they haven't pushed the needle. And a lot of people say, well, what do you want Samsung to do? And I'll say this all the time, and I will continue to say this. For almost $2,000, they better do something different. They got to do something different. Think about that, right? I mean, Samsung has charged you after tax almost $2,000 for this. Now, a lot of people say, well, I got traders. Listen, man, I'm talking about MSRP, man. You know, I understand people trade in, you know, devices to get credits and deals off and stuff like that, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. But I'm talking about full MSRP, right? So year after year after year, Samsung has not pushed the needle. The only thing that they've done, I would give them full credit for this, is that the Flip series of devices have seen some drastic updates, which is great. New redesign, bigger display in the front and stuff like that. But the Z Fold lineup has been mute for a very long time. A lot of people say, well, easy. It's a closed flatter. But you know what? They got other companies outside of the United States been doing that for years, right? So just because Samsung just came up with a folding mechanism, stuff like that, they're about 2 years behind. So listen, man, at the end of the day, we want companies to do their best, but Samsung have not done it. And hopefully with the Z Fold 6, Samsung will push the needle. Because guess what, baby? In the United States, you got competition. You got OnePlus. Now you got Google. You got other companies coming out pushing the needle, man. That means you think about this. Think about this. In 2023, we saw a shift where everybody was all in, all over Samsung saying the Z Fold devices is the best thing. Oh my God, Samsung. And all of a sudden, OnePlus and Pixel came out, and all of a sudden, you start to see a shift in the crowd, right? The Samsung crowd is starting to take notice, like, hey, listen, let's just give the Google an opportunity. Let's give OnePlus an opportunity, and they stole some of that fan base from them, right? And Samsung don't want nobody to steal their fan base. A lot of people say, hey, names, I promise you. Listen, man, you have Samsung fans that moved over to try other new things like the OnePlus Open, and they was freaking satisfied. People post a lot saying that, hey, man, this OnePlus Open is great, man. Oh, my God, this is great. You know, Samsung got to move up, and I understand what people say. Well, they don't have the S Pen, they don't have DeX, they don't have, the Samsung experience. That's understandable. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of people stay with Samsung. It's because Samsung does have a desktop experience. Samsung does have S Pen software that give you that good experience. Samsung does have a great software, one UI that gives you the flexibility to give you a lot of stuff. And so at the end of the day, Samsung does have that experience that a lot of people like. So listen, I'm not taking nothing away from that experience that Samsung gives, but you got other companies that say, hey, man, listen, hold my beer if you don't want a pen. Because think about this, right? We use a pen, but the pen is not included. That means you have to buy a case and you have to buy a pen. That means there's a cost factor involved. So these other companies say, hey, listen, man, since the data says that not everybody use the pen, then the pen is not necessary. Right? Listen, I use the pen, right? A lot of business professionals use the pen. A lot of content creators use the pen and stuff like that, right? But take away that 1-2%. And you're talking about 98% of people that don't use the pen. All right, content creators and some tech enthusiasts, we maybe under 5%. So when you look at that 90, I just say 10%. Just say 10%. Just say 10% of the user base use the S Pen. Well, guess what? What about the other 90% that doesn't use it? Never pull out the S Pen, never buy a case, never buy S Pen, never use desktop mode, never do this and never do that, right? The 90% that doesn't do it. That means that you got other companies like OnePlus and Pixel say, hey, listen, hold my beer. Even though we may not have those features, but guess what? 90% of the user base don't even use those features. So, hey, we're going to give you a different experience. Google going to give you the best of Google. OnePlus is giving you multitasking, best cameras, battery life, a beautiful display and everything else in between. So, if you look at it in that aspect, you see why these companies are not integrating, and even Samsung is not even putting the S Pen in the Z Fold. I would think that would probably have been the first priority for Samsung, right? We got to integrate the S Pen in the device. Think about this. If the foldable game is going to be for business professional content creators, or people that like to create, people that like to draw, people that like to use the devices replacing their tablets and stuff like that, you would think that the pen and pen software is the most important part of the experience. Unfortunately, it's not for a lot of folks, because the data that these big companies probably getting, that the pen and the pen software is not what people want. I want it, but I'm just one person. We've got tens and hundreds of millions of people that's going to buy these products. So if you have such a small percentage of people that don't use the pen and don't use this DeX, don't use this software, then other companies won't invest in it. And look what they're investing in: cameras, AI, obviously screen brightness. But screen brightness, getting back into what I'm saying, screen brightness is something that you're going to see definitely in 2024. The next is cameras. Now, for me, I switched years ago from using smartphone cameras to film to professional cameras. Because I believe, and I'm still, to this day, I believe that smartphone cameras have not got to the level that you could replace your professional camera. But now these companies are pushing the needle. 1-inch sensor. I mean, using AI with software, with 1-inch sensors and high-end lenses and photography and software, they're trying to bridge the gap between professional cameras and smartphones. I still believe that professional cameras are still above smartphones, but you got to look at the advantages and disadvantages of having professional cameras versus smartphones. Professional cameras is costly, especially when you're looking at buying high-end lenses, the learning curve, the editing that you have to do, especially if you're in photography or you're in video. If you're using the RAW, you have to edit it in post. Well, here come the smartphone. Smartphones say, hey, listen, we're going to use AI technology and software so you don't have to do all that in post and still get a great image quality. Now, that is fantastic. Now, they've been doing this for a while now, but I think in 2024, you're going to start seeing this more and more. Now, they do have content creators that film their entire YouTube channels with smartphones. I've done it for years. I got away from it, and I probably would never go back. Matter of fact, one of my goals in 2024 is to invest in higher end camera systems versus, anything else. But I do see case scenarios that smartphones are moving the needle to the next level, that people that do not want to edit in post, that people that just want to get a great image quality, great video quality right on device, maybe do some edits on their phone and upload it to their favorite social media site. You got to remember that TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and all these vertical videos and YouTube shorts and stuff like that, 90% of most people using smartphones to capture that great image quality, right? A lot of them not using professional cameras to do TikToks and Instagram, right? On YouTube, we look at that we are long form type creators, that we want to make, we want to create videos for people who want to give you the best image quality, period. So we do invest in our craft. But when you look at the era now of people using smartphones to go viral on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, and smartphones is always with you in your pocket and stuff like that. You don't carry big, camera rigs and matte boxes and high-end lighting and shooting in RAW and stuff like that. Plus, when you look at apps like MC Pro 24 FPS, Blackmagic apps and stuff like that, right? Those apps Utilize the technology in your smartphone to take it to the next level. If you want to use your smartphone to film small videos, stuff like that. So if you want to get that high-end image quality, they do have apps available for that. And I think that's when we talk about bridging the gap. Smartphones with AI and everything that they're talking about now going into this year, 2024, you're going to see a huge shift in image quality, zooming without getting any degradation in quality. Think about it. You could go from a 1-time zoom to a 10-time zoom or a 15-time zoom without degradation in quality. Man, listen, only professional cameras with good lenses can do stuff like that, with zoom lenses and stuff like that. But you got to remember those lenses and the cameras that cost you thousands of dollars. Think about it, right? You buy this, say you buy a Sony camera, cost you $3,500. Well, the lens gonna cost you $2,000 if you want to get a master G master lens, right? So you up there $5,000 after tax just to even get a good camera, just to start. Right? Yes, they got cheaper options. Yes, they have, cheaper options for cameras. But once you get into a professional camera arena and you want to go into up your game in professional cameras and quality cinema cameras and stuff like that, you got to worry about the camera body. You got to worry about the lens. Well, smartphones and say, hey, listen, for $1,500, we're going to give you the best of both worlds. We're going to give you a great camera. We're going to give you phone capabilities. And now you start to see the shift. A lot of companies talking about it. So 3 things I'm seeing in 2024. And listen, I might be wrong about phone cameras, man. Listen, man, for a very long time, I shot my YouTube channel for years with smartphones. I probably would never go back to a smartphone shooting videos. I do shoot some B-roll with smartphone, though. If I'm outside or stuff like that, and I don't want to bring my little M50 with me, I do some B-roll with smartphones, right? But as far as the main image and stuff like that, or some type of other green screen effects, of I'm shooting in slow-mo at 60 frames, cutting it down to 30 frames, and if I'm doing some high-end, client work and stuff like that, I dare not use a smartphone for that. Right. If I'm doing a photography session, I'd never use a smartphone for that. Right. I use, professional cameras for that. But smartphones is going to the next level, man. I think in 2024, not only that the price is going to be a little steep, but you're going to see a lot of AI plastered all over the place. You're going to hear about cameras plastered all over the place. You're going to hear a lot about this is the brightest display ever on a smartphone, 4,500 nits. So I think the 3 areas that we're going to see in 2024 is AI, right? You're hearing it everywhere, right? Peak brightness, God, 4,500 nits. Do we really need smartphones with 4,500 nits? But I guess, hey, listen, that's the next stage of display technology. Also, when you're looking at the cameras, 1-inch sensors. 1-inch sensors going to look like it's going to be on a lot of devices in 2024, except the Samsung and the Apples. They don't move the needle when it comes down to photography and video. They ain't putting 1-inch sensors on their devices. Not right now. Other companies like Oppo and Xiaomi and these other companies outside of the United States, they're already doing 1-inch sensors. They're already moving the needle when it comes down to photography and videography, right? Samsung and Apple relying on third-party apps to do these type of things, right, to help with image quality and stuff like that. On their native camera app, yeah, they may have promo, but they ain't moving the needle, they ain't pushing the needle like these other companies outside the United States, and that's a shame. Right, and I understand Samsung is a consumer brand. They're trying to cater to the consumer and the professional. But, yeah, sometimes you got to get that mixture in there. All right, let's get out of here. Another episode of the Tech Preacher Podcast, Uncut, baby. Man, I really appreciate it, man. We listen, man, we gonna have some fun, man. 2024, baby. But I talk a lot, don't I? Ooh, boy, I tell you, I talk so much, baby. That a half an hour go fast. But we are here. We're going to see you next week, same bat place, same bat time, baby. The Tech Preacher Podcast. Make sure that you listen to these podcasts on your favorite podcast stations. And don't forget about that I will upload Wired Wednesdays on podcast stations, and I will have the video version of these podcasts will be on a Friday, baby. So stay tuned. Subscribe to Tech Preacher, baby. Uncut. I'm out, baby. See you next week. Same bad place, same bad time, baby.